Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with an Ezreal updated complete guide. And of course, before we begin with anything, as usual, don't forget to check out Ezreal's basic guide that I'm going to put up in the cards above for his skills, leveling order, as well as some tips and tricks and his combos as well. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So what are the changes to Ezreal? Well, two big things. Firstly, his rune choice, and secondly is his item build. So we're going to go through item build first. With Ezreal, it's a pretty standard item build. You always want to start off with the mana immune, of course, for the extra mana, as well as the unhit damage on your auto attacks, as well as your abilities. And then, of course, you're going to Triforce for the bevy of stats, as well as mainly that Spellblade passive that procs on your Q, which of course increases your Q's damage a lot. Generally, you want to start off the game with a longsword so you got some damage in lane. Get a tier on your first back, and on your second back, or if you can afford it on your first back, you want to get the Sheen, because Sheen obviously increases your Q damage by a lot. If not, your early game is going to be very weak. So after these two items, you want to go for the Boots of Mana, which you generally only go for as a third item because it's not too important on Ezreal. Ezreal does skill with AP, and this gives a lot of AP. Mana regen is actually very important on Ezreal because despite having the mana immune, you do run out of mana quite quickly. So the mana regen is really useful, and Magic Pen is also useful for Ezreal because his Q, actually not his Q, his W and his ult and his E, I believe, all does magic damage. So that's going to help you a lot. And then, last time we did have an Essence Reaver build, but our Essence Reaver used to be our first item. So instead, now we're actually going to go for Essence Reaver as our third item, because don't forget that even though we're only building one crit item, Essence Reaver does increase our ability damage by 22.5%. And by the time we have the increased damage from the Mirror Mana, we have the increased damage from the Spellblade passive, and then another 22.5% increased damage from the Essence Reaver, your Q is going to do a lot of damage. So this is going to be very, very helpful as well. And next up, we have Seralda's Grudge. Of course, this is going to give you the slows as well as the armor penetration itself. And for the final item, we go for Riftmaker for mainly the Omnivamp as well as the True Damage passive. You could also go for Blade of the Rune King here if you're against very, very tanky champions. And for the runes, I said First Strike was really, really good. However, I noticed not really an issue, but I noticed that with First Strike, you really only do a lot of burst damage. You do get a lot of gold from it, so First Strike is still really, really good. But after testing out Kraken Slayer, I actually think Kraken Slayer is the best rune for Ezreal, because Kraken Slayer gives you not only a lot of damage in the early game, but also in the late game, because 3-hit is really easy for Ezreal. Just auto Q auto, really easy to proc Kraken Slayer, and it's going to increase your damage by a lot. Aside from that, it scales off with your AD and your AP. Of course, you're building, AD, in most of your items. You also have AP from your boots and your Riftmaker, so it's gonna scale up into late game and do a lot of damage there, as well. So Kraken Slayer increases Ezreal's damage by insane amounts, and I think you have to go for Kraken Slayer. If you don't go for Kraken Slayer, it's kind of a big waste because you're losing out on so much damage. I think it's way superior compared to, of course, our First Strike, which is honestly quite surprising, but after testing, I did find out that this was indeed the case. And I previously took Conqueror and Ezreal. I didn't even take Kraken Slayer, so it turns out I've been missing out for months. Anyways, for our minor runes, we are going for Brutal, of course, because this applies on Ezreal's Q and auto attacks, so it's going to increase his damage by quite a bit. Of course, we go for Coup de Grace against low HP targets. You could also go for Giant Slayer if you're against tanky targets. And then, of course, we go for Bloodline for increased survivability. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of Legend Alacrity. And finally, last but not least, I like to go for Bone Plating for, of course, the defensive capabilities. But you could also opt for other options. For example, you could also opt for Transcendence for more ability haste, or you could also go for Mana Flow Ban for more mana. It is, of course, sort of your personal preference for your minor rune. And for the spells, of course, we go for Flash and we go for Barrier, of course, for the defensive capabilities, and that's pretty much it. So now we're going to talk about Ezreal's gameplay. Okay, so let's move into our gameplay. And of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So, of course, I like picking Ezreal into kind of like high threat team compositions. You can see that we have like a lot of champions that want to go in on us. Champions like Fizz, Master Yi, Malphite, and of course Samira as well. And Blitzcrank obviously, he wants to hook us, and having that E to dodge the hook or even cancel the hook is actually really, really useful to have. So here out of the gate, we have to realize something. The thing is that Blitzcrank as well as Samira don't really have range. Blitzcrank is melee, of course he has a hook, but he's melee aside from that. And Samira has the lowest range out of all the ADCs. So we are Ezreal, we have Kraken Slayer, we want to be able to poke them down with both our auto attacks as well as our Q. So basically our main aim here is to, when Blitzcrank hook is down, we want to try to poke them out. Even when it is up, we can still try to poke them out, but we just want to be a little bit more careful. Because of course, we are at risk of being hooked, and if that happens, it's a disaster. So here you see he doesn't have hook, so here we can actually, afford to play a little bit more aggressively, although we don't necessarily have to. Of course, doing this is going to chunk them out and prevent them from going all in on us, which is going to make it a lot harder for us to die. Unfortunately, Samira is of course playing extremely safe, probably because she does know that she can get easily abused by both me and Lulu. You can see Lulu is already doing some of that poking that I was talking about, and the two of them can't really do anything much to us, unless of course Blitzcrank hits a hook. So since that's not happening, it's a very tame laning phase. Nothing too much is really going on here. All we're doing is we're just picking up CS. Haven't really been too successful at landing poke, in all honesty. You can see that it's not going too well. Here Blitzcrank runs out of patience, runs up, goes for the knockup onto Lulu. Lulu polymorphs to Samira. Samira ends up doing actually nothing. And here we almost kill the Blitzcrank. He's on blinking HP, like single digit HP at this point. Unfortunately, he does end up escaping. Unfortunately, not only did he escape, but the enemy team did not actually blow any summoner spells at all. So he didn't even, he didn't even heal, even though he was at literally like 1 digit HP. So, really bold decision from the Blitzcrank there. Now here, we're going to take advantage of this opportunity to actually grab a reset and get some items and hopefully, be a little bit stronger. Now of course we don't really have enough for anything other than our tier. Tier isn't really going to increase our damage, it's just going to give us more mana and allow us to start stacking, which is of course important, but in this situation doesn't really help us deal any more damage. Of course something like a Sheen would be a lot more useful in this situation, but we want to get the scaling of the mana mune into the mirror mana as quickly as possible, so we don't want to greed over the early game damage and go for the Sheen, at least not yet. So here Blitzcrank whiffs the hook again, and here, once again we're looking for an opportunity to, of course, try to fight. Here you can see Samira's finally going in. She's at, full stacks, but not yet level 5. Here I exhaust her to save the Lulu. Lulu ults herself, and here she gets hooked back in by Blitzcrank, and Samira gets baited into coming in and, dies to my ulti. Blitzcrank trying to run away, levels up and gets the health, but despite that, isn't able to escape, and we are able to finish the job and kill him. So finally all of our efforts pay off, and we are able to pick up a 2v2 double kill in the bottom lane, and as a result of that we can actually also deny them fruit and also pick up some tower plates. So here for some reason Yasuo actually roams to the bottom lane even though the bottom lane is dead, and Fizz gets a free push in the mid lane, which is really kind of a strange scenario if you really think about it. But anyway, since we secured our tower plates, we're now just going to back and buy items. This will of course give them the opportunity to actually push and get some tower plates of their own. So it's a little bit of a push and pull between the teams as to just pushing, getting tower plates and backing, etc. So here you can see we picked up not our full mana mune, but instead we got the Sheen and we got the Warhammer instead of going for the full mana mune, which we could have gone. Because obviously mana mune doesn't really give us damage in the early game, but Sheen does. So going for Sheen before mana mune, in my experience, has always been better, which is what we're going for right here. So here Dragon and Herald's coming up in 30 seconds. Kayn is kind of relatively in our area farming his Krugs, so I'm assuming that he's actually going to go for Dragon based on the fact that he's around. So here we're just pushing out the wave. You can see we're using all of our spells and our basic attacks on the wave to shove it out quickly to ensure that we have priority onto the Dragon. Blitzcrank tries to set a trap and goes for the hook. Does get the hook onto Lulu, but Lulu ults herself. Here we're able to actually finish off the Master Yi. Kayn is able to finish off the Master Yi, and we end up winning the 3v3. Here Yasuo comes in on the rotation, so does Fizz, and another fight breaks out. We're able to secure the kill onto Fizz. Darius is already starting up the Dragon, but before we do that, we're just going to quickly clear out the last 2 minions, and now we're going to hit over to the Dragon. Blitzcrank barely misses the hook on us. We actually nearly walked into it, but because we actually stopped for half a second, it actually helped us to survive that. Here Yasuo picks up our fruit and comes in. We are able to actually get the kill onto the dragon and be on our merry way. So here we're going to hit back over to our lane to first clear out the minions to ensure the enemy team doesn't get any kind of free plates or anything like that. Another fight breaks out in the river as I'm launching my ult to try to help, but ends up hitting absolutely nobody. And now we're going to just go ahead and take a reset once again. This time we should be able to actually complete our Manamune like so, and then we can also pick up our boots. Now I chose to complete the boots in this scenario, even though generally you want to complete your Triforce first, because I didn't really feel like getting the small Triforce components was going to be very helpful to me at this moment, whereas the boots, you know, with all of the stats, you know, is going to give me a immediate power spike. So I went for the boots first in this scenario. So here, back to lane, and of course Samira and Blitzcrank not doing too hot. I mean, in all honesty, Samira's not even doing that bad. She's 1-1 and 2, you know, doesn't really have a first item yet because she chose to go for attack speed boot. So a little bit of a troll build there, because Samira doesn't really want attack speed. But yeah, so of course they each only have 1 death off of that double kill there, so it's not like the lane is over or anything. But we do have 3 kills overall, of course, from various sources. Here Blitzcrank tries to go for the same trick, runs in, goes for his full combo, hooks the Lulu back in. Here I hit my ulti and the Yasuo, not unfortunately but fortunately, does come in on the roam and is able to get the knock up into the ulti for us to secure the kill onto the Samira. Now here with the Samira dead, we're trying our best to quickly push in and try to get this tower if possible. In the meantime, our mid lane is getting destroyed by Fizz and his Rift Herald. So here we're trying to quickly get this tower, or at least get some damage on this tower. Blitzcrank tries to 1v1 the Lulu, but obviously it's not really a 1v1 because I'm around, so it's kind of a 2v1. And we're able to pick up another free kill onto the Blitzcrank. Now unfortunately, because of that minions run out, we do get the tower plates before they fall, with the exception of the actual tower kill. So it's overall we do get quite a bunch of gold. You can see we're at 6.5k gold, which you know, is around the same goal as the Fizz and the Master Yi. Now here, I was actually gonna back, but you know, because Fizz is here, we're trying to bait them to go in under tower against the low HP Lulu and perhaps try to pick up a kill. Here, Lulu is put very low, does still have ult, walks in front of me and gets ulted by Fizz unfortunately, does ult herself, and Fizz is almost taken down. I try to flash to get the kill with my Q, unfortunately it does not kill him, and I try to finish him off with the ult, but Samira W absorbs the ult, so we don't secure the kill. Now Master Yi here just comes in, wipes out the Lulu, and now I'm going to be on the run. Of course, Arcane shifting away to prevent myself from dying to the Master Yi. And yeah, overall not really the best outcome in the world. Lulu ends up dying, Kane's dead as well, and we don't really end up killing anybody on the enemy team, so not really not a very well executed plan unfortunately. Fizz survives on 1 HP. So here we're getting more components of our Triforce of course, and we're gonna hit back into the lane. So here once again we still have yet to get the tower, so you can see we basically haven't really roamed anywhere aside from going to the dragon fight. Of course, without getting the enemy team's tower, it's really hard to do that. Here we're trying to trap Samira as she's coming back to lane. Unfortunately the control ward is there, so not really happening. Samira tries to fight us, and we're basically able to instantly burst her down before Master Yi can really do anything. Master Yi tries to go in now 1v2, almost kills the Lulu, but Lulu with the knockup combined with the redemption is able to survive. And afterwards we are able to get the kill onto both of them, and we can finally hit over to the lane and secure the tower. Fizz hits the ulti onto the Lulu. Unfortunately, nothing I can really do to save her. I'm just auto-attacking the Fizz, trying my best to kill him, and I am able to trade the kill and get the shutdown, going godlike at the same time. At this point, we have evolved our Manamune into the Mirror Mana at long last, and also on our back we are going to be able to secure the Triforce. So huge power spike for us at this point. 9k plus gold, by far the most in the game at this point, finally eclipsing the Fizz and the Master Yi. So we are in a position to carry our team. We also have a Lulu beside us to try to protect us if we need it, although Ezreal doesn't really need a Lulu kind of champion majority of the time. Here Yasuo gets a pretty good 2-man knockout. We're able to get a good ulti across, finish the kill on Samira, and here we're also going to go for Master Yi. I exhaust him to try to save Yasuo. Unfortunately Yasuo survives, Master Yi gets another Q, and honestly nearly kills me, but we are able to eventually secure the kill onto Master Yi. Unfortunately, Master Yi does end up picking up the dragon, but we are able to secure 2 kills there, and we do end up going legendary. So overall, not not the best outcome in the world. We lost two teammates and the dragon as well, but we did get 3 of the enemy team. So overall, not the worst trade in the world, not the best either. So now we're just pushing out the minion wave. Here Fizz tries to go in on me, but I stasis to prevent him from basically getting any damage at all. Managed to half health him with a WQ actually. Here Blitzcrank tries to flash in for a hook, doesn't really hit anything because I'm behind minions. And now we're just gonna walk away. I hit the ult, all through all of them, and all of them are actually relatively low to be honest. Here Blitzcrank tries to overchase, gets polymorphed and just dies. Now here I've spawned an opportunity to go back in on Samira. I go in, flash forward to go for the auto attack Q. Unfortunately, she's barely out of range for the Q to hit, and as a result, we are not able to pick up the kill onto the Samira. Honestly, I felt that even if I flash Q'd immediately, I don't think that would have secured the kill anyway, so because she had flash, so we basically ended up trading flash for flash. Now, I know Master Yi is in the jungle here, so all of us together are going to try to stop him from getting the blue buff. Kayn does get the blue buff, and Lulu gets the buff share, so overall, that does go very well for us. And now, of course, we have secured the bot lane tower, so now we are in a position that we can actually rotate around the map and help our team in other areas. Here, we're just going to go ahead and get the Raptors here. Because we don't really need to back, we're at pretty much full health and nearly full mana, so no real reason to back at this point. Also, no real key item pickups to get. Now here I actually have enough for Essence Reaver, so now I want to back. Finally got enough gold for it, but a fight breaks out. So instead of backing, I'm going to cancel my back, and I'm going to head over to try to help my team. Really important that you don't just back and leave your team high and dry, even if you have a major item purchase. I mean, arguably it's kind of a two-way decision thing. Number one is they shouldn't be fighting without you when you need to buy items. Number two, you shouldn't be buying items when your team needs to fight. So it's kind of depends on the way you see it. But anyways, we are able to finally secure the Essence Reaver, and as that happens, another fight breaks out, and my team is kind of not doing too hot in the fight. Overall, we did manage to get kill a Master Yi. Yasuo does end up dying. I'm trying to get over there as quickly as possible. Darius goes down, Fizz is traded for it, and I'm able to exhaust the Master Yi to save the Lulu, and we are able to finish off the kill. So now we're going to be able to secure this tower, and someone's pinging for Baron here. Honestly, Baron was somewhat doable. Like, if Kayn tanks it and I do, the Baron might have been able to actually get the Baron, especially with only Samira and Malphite alive. Blitzcrank coming up soon might have been doable, but since Kayn backed, there really isn't a point. Obviously, we can't do the Baron ourselves, so we're instead just going to rotate mid and get the mid lane farm. Someone's still pinging for Baron, but at this point, it's too late to go for it because the whole enemy team is going to be reviving soon. So here I'm trying to get the red buff because obviously I'm the most fed member here. Yasuo is not really doing that well. He's 1 and 3, whereas I'm 11 and 0. So it's very clear who should be getting the red buff. So thankfully I do end up picking up that red buff in question. And yeah, now dragons spawning in 44 seconds. So all we want to do here is push out our waves, and of course, if we need to, back for resources and items, but doesn't really look like we need to do that. So in the meantime, I'm just continuing to push. We can see Samira on the opposite side of the map. So enemy team is not really even ready to contest the dragon. Here, Kayn's going to just get in some counter jungling at the same time. You can see Blitzcrank is also now at the top lane. So over here in the dragon area, it's just the Master Yi and the Malphite for now. Fizz, of course, is kind of nearby. Master Yi, for some reason, just goes in on 4 of us. Does pop the stasis. Malphite goes down, and Master Yi is soon to follow for the double kill. Here I'm seeing if I can chase Fizz for the kill. Of course, the other 2 champs are still in the top lane, so it's pretty much going to be a free dragon. Here I am able to half health the Fizz once again with a WQ combo, but we need 2 of those combos more or less to kill him, so we aren't able to quite finish him off. So instead here we're going to just secure the dragon. And we're going to head back over to the mid lane, as you guys can see. So of course, playing Ezreal throughout the match, you're just trying to land poke onto the enemy. We're going to Arcane Shift out the way of the Blitzcrank hook. If the hook actually hits you and you Arcane Shift, you can actually cancel the hook and you won't actually get pulled. But here, we are really far ahead as a team. Actually, we're not really that far ahead as a team. It's just that I'm very far ahead. But regardless, we're going to try to do the Baron. And here Master Yi is just running face first into our team. I exhaust him. He ignores me, tries to go for the Baron. I get pretty much just wombo combat here. I'm able to actually hop over the wall and get an ulti across the whole enemy team. But unfortunately, my whole team dies. Lulu dies. And here I'm going to have to stasis the Fizz E, and I'm going to die as well. Darius is the next to go down, and the enemy team secures the Baron. So disaster kind of strikes in this game. We did a really bad Baron because, as I said, it's really only me that's fed, and my team is actually not that fed. Like, Master Yi and Fizz are the next two fed people in the game, and my team, you know, it's probably like Kane after me, but my team really isn't that fed, so it's probably not a good idea to do the Baron over there, which we did anyways, and we got punished for it by all dying, and enemy team basically getting a free Baron. Fizz ulti goes wide. I'm trying my best to clear minions. You can see here that, you know, I'm just trying to shoot the minions with my Q. Obviously, Ezreal has horrible wave clear, but we can still try our best. Obviously, enemy team can't really end the game here with my team respawning, so we're just going to clear out the lane, and we're actually seeing if we can chase down any enemies. We have lost 2 inhibitor turrets already off on the Baron, so that's pretty bad. Whole enemy team, no one is really recalling greedily. They're all hightailing it back to their own jungle to recall, which of course, you know, they do respect the fact that we can, of course, kill them, and of course, as a result, they are, you know, just gonna go all the way back. So here I'm trying to ping my team not to fight because there's a wave crashing into bot tower, and you know, we of course don't want to lose that farm, so we're just gonna pick up the farm, like so, and we're also gonna go for this red buff that has spawned. Kane not really in the position to secure that red buff, so we're just going to take it for ourselves. Potential fight happening in the mid lane, so we are hovering around the area to see if anything really happens. Malphite's walking up looking like he wants to ult. Like you can see, he's just walking for it to look for an ult angle, but nothing much really happens in this fight except people just walking around, at least for now. Does pop the Ignite onto Yasuo to interrupt his back. Pretty creative. It's actually not that creative, but pretty interesting usage of Ignite here. Malphite once again protobults forward as if he wants to ult, but he has no team behind him, so this isn't really going to work. But yeah, so Master Yi apparently was hiding in that bush for some reason. He pops the ulti to actually run away, which is kind of a waste, and he tries to go back in for some reason. So honestly, if he didn't have the Age of Night, might have been able to actually get him. Now, unfortunately here I get hit by the periphery of the Fizz ult. I get ulted by Lulu. I'm able to actually survive. And here I get a good ult across the enemy team, trying my best to kill people without dying. Unfortunately, the Fizz comes back in and is eventually able to finish off the kill on me. And he also gets a 1k shutdown, of course, because I was 14-0 at that point in time. And yeah, not good to give the one of the most fed, actually he is not even one, he is the most fed member of the enemy team a shutdown. He actually has a GA of all things, and of course he has his core build already, but we are able to secure the Elder Dragon. Of course everyone other than me, because I was the first dead, so no Elder buff for me, but my team is going to be able to clean up the base, which of course has 2 waves of super minions just pouring in from 2 lanes, because we don't have inhibitors in those lanes. So here Baron is actually coming up in 15 seconds, so we probably do want to go ahead and contest this Baron. Of course we have to wait for ourselves to respawn first. But here, you know, we have Elder buff, so we should be able to secure Baron relatively easily, and the enemy team shouldn't really be able to fight us because of the Elder buff. Just popping, of course, the plant to check if there's any vision in our jungle. This new, like, reworked Square's Bloom in the base, you know, of course, gives you a lot of vision in your own jungle. Make sure that any enemy vision is spotted out. So the enemy team definitely don't know that we're here, but it's pretty common sense that the Elder team is going to go for a Baron, so, you know, not too big of a surprise. Here we managed to find a pick onto the Malphite. Malphite didn't really manage to ult, so really good pick here. We're trying to see if we want to force the Baron again. Obviously that didn't go too well the last time, but this time should be different. Darius starts up the Baron. I plopped down the control ward. Turns out we don't really do the Baron. And a ward's placed into the pit. We're just going to destroy the ward. And now we're kind of starting up the the Baron for real. And in the meanwhile, Yasuo is just going to try to zone people off. Fizz tries to come in, gets Polymorph knocked up and destroyed. So enemy team no longer has the Fizz. Of course, Master Yi, the jungle, is still around, so we're going to go for the Master Yi does end up dying, and here I was actually pretty healthy, but I ended up tanking a couple of Baron shots here. And I end up going from like 3/4 health to like 1/4 health, because of course Baron does a lot of damage to the main person he's targeting, which normally shouldn't be the ADC, but in this case everyone else left, so I start tanking the Baron. Anyways, off of this, only Malphite is left alive, so we might be able to actually end the game here. So here we're just going to push down mid, no Elder buff anymore, but we're just going to push in mid, push in bot, and no Nexus shield as well. We have 2 waves of minions to work with, so we are able to actually end the game. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual, and bye.